Hey everyone, welcome to another class in our Yoga for Resilience series. Today is a mindfulness day and we're going to bring in a technique from acceptance and commitment therapy or acceptance and commitment coaching called Defusion. So if you've done any of my ACT courses, you might be familiar with this. It's a really useful exercise. And so let's just take a moment to come down to onto your mat, onto your seated position, lying down wherever you're going to be, and just taking a moment to arrive in the practice. And you can just bring the attention to the breath. You can close the eyes or soften the gaze if you like. And the concept of diffusion is this: it's that we often get hooked by our thoughts. So we kind of assume that our thoughts are true. So we might have a thought like, I'm fat and I need to lose weight, or I'm not working hard enough, I haven't achieved enough, or I need to be a better person, I need to eat healthily, whatever demand we're placing on ourselves. I embarrassed myself in front of my friends last night, or I don't have enough friends, or I'm not worthy of friends, whatever the thought is. And we tend to automatically assume it's true. We're fused with that thought. We have the thought, I'm fat and I need to lose weight, and we think it's true rather than realizing, hey, actually, this is just a thought. Like, it may or may not be true, but what we want to recognize here that regardless of whether it is true, it is just a thought and it might not be true. And so rather than being hooked into that process or fused with that thought, we want to take a step back. And so what I want you to do is, when a thought comes into your mind, maybe it's I'm not doing this mindfulness stuff right, maybe it's I have to go and do something else, maybe it's that I feel uncomfortable. I want you to add to the start of that, I'm having the thought that. So for example, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, this class is rubbish, no one's going to like this class. And internally I will rewrite that to, I'm having the thought that this class is rubbish and that nobody is going to like this class. So let's give that a go now. You can just wait for a thought to pop into your head, and if nothing turns up, then you can always bring something to mind. But for most of us, probably our mind will start wandering, will start giving us some thoughts pretty quickly. So if you're not too sure, let me give you some examples. Like right now I've got the sun shining on this side of my face, and I'm thinking, oof, that's a bit annoying. It's quite, I've got my eyes closed, but I've still got the sun blaring in. So I'm changing that to, I'm having the thought that the sun is annoying, and I'm thinking, oh, I hope my camera battery lasts. And I'm getting, there's kind of an emotional reaction, feeling a bit of stress that the camera battery might run out. And so I'm again changing that to, I'm having the thought that the camera battery might run out. So once you identify a thought, add that prefix, I'm having the thought that, and then allow your mind to quieten again and wait for the next thought to arrive and do the same thing. So again, to cover what we're doing here, it's we might have the thought here that it's I don't have time for this self-care, and when we're fused with that, there tends to be an emotional reaction, like maybe we feel guilty, we feel like we want to get up and go do something else, and we don't make the time for it because we treat the thought, I don't have time for this self-care, as being true, and we act on it as being true. But when we relabel it as I'm having the thought, I don't have time for this self-care, we see it for what it is, just a mental event. And when we do that, when we defuse from that thought, then we're able to step back from it and decide what we do. We tend to kind of reduce that emotional first reaction to it, and we can decide whether we want to follow that thought or whether we decide, actually, that's just my anxiety, that's just the kind of society we live in telling me I'm not supposed to be doing self-care and I'm constantly supposed to be in the rat race, whatever it is. But actually, I can see that as just a mental event, and I can choose that I am going to engage in that self-care anyway. Another time this might come up from a resilience perspective is if something it doesn't go the way we want, and we're thinking, it's too hard now, I can't do this, or I'll never find a way around this, or it's just impossible now. And we can relabel to that, I'm having the thought that it's too hard, I'm having the thought that this isn't going to work, I'm having the thought that this is impossible. And again, rather than fusing with that and giving up, we're defusing, and we're saying, I'm having the thought that this is impossible, but actually I know it's just a mental event, and that isn't necessarily the truth. I can still do this. I'm choosing to bring some hope and confidence to this rather than following this mental event that my mind has generated. Now bring your attention back to your breath. Gently blink the eyes open if you've had them closed. It's a great exercise to do practice on a regular basis, because typically if we wait till we're in that highly anxious, highly depressed situation where we're thinking, I can't do it, or I feel horrible, I've got no friends, I feel fat, whatever it is. If we haven't been practicing it, it's very hard to then diffuse from it and label it as I'm having the thought that. But if we practice it on a regular basis, it's a lot easier when we get ourselves into those negative places to use this skill. So hopefully you found that useful, and I can't wait to see you in the next class.